I'm very pleased to welcome RBC Principal Stephen Maddock to be part of this call this evening. It's always a pleasure to see Stephen, especially when he's on running back in from overseas, having spent a weekend away and a much needed weekend away, because Stephen, you go to pretty much everything. So perhaps you can tell us something about what you've seen so far this year and what you're looking forward to next.
Absolutely, gladly, and welcome everybody to our little RBCA event this evening. Terry wins the prize for the best bookshelves behind. Mine only have, I'm afraid, just a few of the many scores in our collection here. Yeah, I've just been in Lisbon. Got back at lunchtime today, just for a short break. First time I'd been to Lisbon since 1991, when I went on a choir tour when I was singing in the Philharmonia chorus, and we went to perform Verdi's Requiem in Lisbon. It has changed a little since then. I suppose I've probably changed a little since 1991 as well, if truth be told. But it was very nice a few days away, and the opportunity last night, my wife and I, to hear a Fado performance, which is the amazing sort of folk-inspired popular music of Lisbon, about which I had heard a lot and had a lot of recordings, but I'd never actually heard a Fado singer before. So that was very nice. But anyway, tonight we are combining acting and music, because we're going to be talking about Little Women. As Terry says, I tried to get to as many performances as I can at RBC to support our students, and also just because I am cultural sort of omnivore. I really enjoy absolutely everything of every style that we do. So last week that meant the jazz festival, the East Side Jazz Festival that we had on RBC, 29 separate events across 2 days, which was extraordinary, ending on Friday night with the BBC big band. The Friday before, it was the symphony orchestra playing a concert of film music, and then Shostakovich's Symphony No. 5, conducted by Tess Jackson, who is barely any older than some of our students, and was absolutely fantastic. Tremendous debut for her with our orchestra. I've been popping in and out of final projects, which are our fourth year music students. As many of you will know, half of their final year is spent putting together a special project that can be anything they care to do. We've already had some absolute corkers. We had the song evening on the theme of Henry VIII's Six Wives, put together by Sophie Henderson, which was absolutely fantastic. Try Me, Good King, and really a range of other brilliant things already. I'm going to something Ukrainian, I think, on Thursday, and there's a brilliant range of stuff. So if you've got our brochure, or indeed look at our website, you'll find a lot of details about those final projects. Tomorrow night we're hosting somebody I know quite well, which is Kadiatu Kane-Mason, the mother of the 7 incredible Kane-Mason musicians, the youngest of whom I think is joining us tomorrow, Mariatu, to play her cello. And Kadi will be talking about one of her latest book. And if you've ever had a chance to read her sort of autobiography about what was involved in raising those 7 musical children, you won't have forgotten it, because it's a brilliant book. And then in a couple of weeks' time, we've got our first fully staged opera of the year. We've had the opera scenes in November, and in March, the first weekend of March, anyway, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think that's 5, 6, 7, but it might be 4, 5, 6 March. Anyway, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we have Orpheus in the Underworld, not actually in the Underworld, but in the Gas Street Central, which is the converted gas works that is now a Church of England church, down by the canal area just off Broad Street, which we've used the last couple of years. There was a brilliant production of Albert Herring. Our students did there last year. This is Offenbach's Orpheus. I can't tell you anything about the production, except that as principal, one of my joyful tasks is to sign off every single request for payment. So every single bit of props bought for the opera production, I've had to sign off, which has included a skateboard, several pairs of sunglasses, and all manner of costumes. So the mind just boggles as to what's going to be in this production. But it's I'm really looking forward to seeing that in a couple of weeks' time. But I'm also particularly looking forward to the next 3 acting productions that we have, as most of you will know, and I'm sure will be covered later, our acting students, BA acting students in their third year, do 3 productions. So there's usually 2 or 3 productions in October, same again in December, and then finally in March. So this is the third run of productions for this year's third years, 2 of whom you're about to meet. And both Neve and Nathan, who we're going to meet, were in one of the shows that I've particularly enjoyed this year, which was the production of Electra, which was downstairs in the Crescent Theatre in December, which was, I thought, just absolutely fantastic version of I'm going to say Sophocles, but maybe it was Euripides. I'm very, very bad on ancient Greeks. Anyway, in a modern version, definitely ancient Greek in a modern version. And I really, really thought that was a very powerful moment. This time they're in something rather different, which is the production of Little Women, the musical, which you're about to hear about. And as I've already said to the 2 of them, I didn't read Little Women as a teenager, unlike many of you will have done. And indeed, I hadn't seen any of the other film versions until the Greta Gerwig version of about 6 years ago, starring oh gosh, you can tell I've been away for a day, the very, very famous Irish accent, whose name I've now forgotten, but she was fantastic. It'll come to me in just a second. And that was a brilliant version, I thought. So there is no pressure for Team RBC in now undertaking the musical version of Little Women, which I think we're all looking forward to hearing all about. So with that in mind, while I try and remember the name of the Irish accent, I will hand back to Terry, who's going to tell me the name of the Irish actress.
I was desperately scrolling IMDb to try and find out for you.
It's just so embarrassing,
but I couldn't quite get there in time.
Clearly, senior moment. It's so Saoirse Ronan. Thank you, IMDb. Saoirse Ronan is what I was thinking of. Who plays Jo, which I think is the role that Neve was playing. So anyway, welcome all, and look forward to hearing all about this.
Yeah, thank you, Stephen. Really appreciate your insights. And like you, I've seen even less of Little Women, so this is going to be quite an educational experience for me tonight. Despite this frankly ridiculous wall of DVDs behind me, the closest I've gotten, and having a master's degree, 2 master's degrees in English literature, and that wall of books over there, I've never read Little Women. I've never watched any of the films. The closest I've gotten to it is the episode of Friends where Joey reads Little Women and gets scared of the ending and has to put the ending of the book in the freezer.
Oh, yeah, no spoilers. Yeah, absolutely.
No spoilers. Don't want to ruin it for everybody. But yeah, I promised my wife faithfully that I wouldn't mention an episode of Friends or The Shining in this conversation tonight, and I'm 12 minutes in and I've already let her down. Without further ado, I would be delighted to welcome Tony Bridgewater, who is chair of the RBCA. He's going to say a few words with us this evening just to talk to our members and talk about the RBCA awards that support so many of our students. Hello, Tony.
Thank you, Terry. Thanks very much indeed. Well, I'm always pleased to have an opportunity to talk about the RBCA and spread the word. First of all, the RBCA stands for the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire Association. It was founded about 40 years ago. If you don't know anything about it, it's basically a membership organisation, and the money that we raise through subscriptions and donations supports students financially at the RBC, both musicians and acting students. In the last few years, we've been giving roughly £10,000 a year to students who experience hardship of various sorts. And the main method of doing this is through what we call the RBCA, the Royal Birmingham Conservatoire Association Award Scheme. Basically, we choose 2 students who are suggested by the Conservatoire because of their particular financial needs. And those 2 students will receive an annual bursary for the whole length of their course. This is also match funded by the Conservatoire itself, so it makes for a pretty life-changing amount of money and enables some students who perhaps couldn't otherwise attend the Conservatoire to be there. I found it incredibly rewarding. I've been involved for 10 years with the association. I was actually a piano student of Malcolm Wilson, who some of you may remember, later on, Professor Malcolm Wilson. He was my piano teacher, and a wonderful teacher he was too. So when it was suggested I might like to join the committee of the Conservatoire Association, I was delighted to do so. But it's been such a rewarding time since I got involved. And I just mentioned three names of students. Leanne Baker was the very first student that we supported with an RBCA award. I don't think she'd mind me saying her father has been very seriously ill throughout that time. And her mum had to leave work to look after her father. So they were in a very difficult situation. And Leanne was very appreciative of the support that we were able to give her. For one thing, it meant that she could visit her family regularly during term time, which was very important to her. And it was so amazing at the end of last year in July to go to her final recital and feel that I've been involved with Leanne and her learning journey right from the very beginning, right the way through to her final recital. Another person you may have come across is Teddy Otieno, who actually appeared on the piano television program on Channel 4 a year or two ago. I believe he's the first student from Africa ever to study piano at the Conservatoire. And he's been making a lot of waves in the black music community, classical music community in England. He's appeared in various festivals and has been performing all around the country. He has a wonderful aspiration too. He wants to take everything that he learns about playing the piano and about music back to Kenya, and he wants to open his own music school there. So again, it's been wonderful to be able to support him and feel that so much is happening in his life because of it, and so much more will happen in the future. And the final student I'd mention is Victor Visocki, who is also in his final year, like Teddy. And I'm actually going to the CBSO Centre on Friday to hear Victor's first symphony. He's a very entrepreneurial young man, and he actually created his own orchestra, the Romantic Revival Orchestra, and he uses this orchestra to perform his music and the music of other students. And these are the kinds of people that we're able to support, and they are giving back in handfuls in terms of their achievements and their commitment to the Conservatoire and to their musical life in the future. So it's a really worthwhile thing to do. There are benefits for members as well, which I would just slip in. We have social events, both in person at the Conservatoire and also online, and we're hoping to have a lot more of these if this one is successful. At those meetings, if you were to become a member, would have the opportunity to meet these students and enjoy their stories as much as I have done. There's also a twice yearly magazine which contains articles about the Conservatoire, the students, and other RBCA members, because many of them are alumni of the Conservatoire. And last but no means least, you also get a reduced price admission to many of the concerts at the Conservatoire. So I don't want to take up too much time because we're really here to find out about the acting students. But if you have any questions about the Conservatoire Association, or if you're indeed tempted to join after what I've said, there will be a link so you can find out more for yourselves. Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Tony. Yes, yeah. I've already posted the link to the RBCA and support us pages. So it's there if anybody wants to take a look at it. I'm always happy to answer any questions as well. So thank you very much for all of the members and their support, and for Tony's and the committee hard work and dedication towards all of our students. We very much appreciate it. I'm very pleased to welcome, hot-footing it also from his own batch of rehearsals, Stephen Sims, who's Vice Principal of Acting at the Conservatoire and has wears many hats, including walking in the shoes of Edgar Allan Poe. How's it going, Stephen?
Well, we've been doing horrible things to imaginary black cats today, which, if anybody knows the Poe stories, it doesn't end well for the cat. though he gets some revenge in the end, so it's fine. I'm next door to Bryn and the people who are rehearsing Little Women. They're in the building next door to me, and I've dropped into their rehearsal room a couple of times. It's a beautifully calm environment after the slightly manic sort of gothic world that I'm involved in. And that's the great thing, I think, about the opportunities that we can create for our students, is that they're enormously diverse. You've got a beautiful musical like Little Women based on a classic book that is so many people's favorite book, especially any Americans that you talk to. You've got a modern play, Consent, which is, dealing with very, very contemporary issues in the modern world. And I don't know what ours is, because the students are making it up themselves day by day. But we're heading into the Gothic world of Edgar Allan Poe, his life and stories. So I'm very pleased that we're always able to have this diversity of things to offer. And I don't want to waste any more time keeping you away from hearing from the students and from Bryn. But it's so lovely to have some people here who are showing this interest in our students. I'm really appreciative of anybody who's come along tonight. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Having read a few bits of Poe in my time, as well as watched the really quite fabulous Netflix TV show Fall of the House of Usher. I've got high hopes for watching The Raven with you, and I'm sure some fairly horrible things are going to happen to some other people as well as imaginary cats.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, everybody, so far. Really appreciate everything you've had to say, all the kind words. I'm very pleased to welcome two further members of staff now. So I've got Bryn Holding, who's Senior Lecturer and Course Director in the BA Acting course, and Helen Maynard, who's another Senior Lecturer, this time on the Stage Management course. And they're both uniquely placed to talk to us about producing and creating Little Women, the Broadway musical. So, Bryn, I'd like to come to you first. If you can just unmute yourself when you answer. You've been at the Conservatoire full time for about 6 months now. How's it going?
Yeah, so thanks, Terry. Yeah, so I've been, I was appointed to start in September as the new course director for the BA Acting, but my time with the Conservatoire is a bit more long-standing than that. So I started as a visiting director in 2018 and I've taught across a whole host of courses: BA, MA, MFA, Foundation, etc. And I suppose my life prior to, and I suppose alongside my time at RBC, is as a professional theatre director. So I was sort of parachuted in previously to direct various plays, some Shakespeare, and then musicals. So I directed musicals, all of which Helen and I have delightfully worked on together. I directed The Clockmaker's Daughter, which was my first musical at RBC, and that was then followed up by the American wild sort of spin-off classic Urinetown, which is all about the privilege to pee, it's a remarkable piece of work. And that same team that created both The Clockmaker's Daughter and Urinetown are reuniting for this production of Little Women, the musical, a musical that is based on the beloved Louisa May Alcott novel, that semi-biographical, autobiographical novel of hers. It has all of the delights that you would expect, those key elements. But that team, so myself, Patsy, who is our choreographer, and Rob Miles, who's returned as a freelance musical director for this, are reuniting to do the show, one that I've wanted to do for a long time and that felt pertinent, timely, universal and appropriate for our graduating third-year students.
Thank you, Bryn. And Helen, you have you been at RBC longer than Bryn? Because it sounds like he's been around for.
I've been at the Conservatoire for 20 years. I got my 20 years service last year. Little Women is one of my most favourite books. Unlike Stephen Maddock, I have seen every version of the film. I'm one of 4 girls. We were the Little Women. So it's really close to my heart. And I cried during their read through, sing through. I had to stop and apologise to them all for sitting there and sobbing. So if you come and see it, bring your tissues. No spoilers, but it's beautiful. So I've taught on the stage management degree for the past 15 years. My background is I've worked in theatre since I was 16 as a freelancer. I've worked on operas, I've worked on pantomimes, I've toured, and then I came to the drama school initially for 6 weeks as a freelance deputy stage manager. Went off, did a show as a freelancer, came back for another 6 weeks, left again. I was on an opera tour, and then they said, would you like to come and stage manage for us? And I said, okay, I'll do that. And then the course was written, and I love it. I love teaching the stage management students. I love seeing how they progress, how they interact with people from every course within the acting school, and the difference you see from those students when they come on that very first day to when they graduate is just phenomenal, and there's nothing that beats that feeling in the whole world.
That's amazing. Can you tell us a bit about what a day in the life of a stage manager is like, and how is that different to a day in the life of a stage management course leader?
So it varies on which role within stage management you're doing. So we have ASMs, DSMs, and SM. So Esme, who everyone will meet later, is the deputy stage manager. So Esme is in rehearsals all day with Bryn. They're making notes of any blocking, of any props requests, costume requests, scenery. They're learning how to read that music because they've got to call all the lighting, sound, and everything to that music. They're noting down all the choreography. And then Noah, who you'll all meet later, is the stage manager. So on a daily basis, Noah will take the information that's come from that rehearsal room, and they will then go and speak to the production department. And I say, Bryn's requested a masquerade mask. And then there'll be a discussion, okay, what does it need to look like? Who does it need to fit? Does it need to have a certain shape? Does it need to be on a stick? Does it need to be on string? And they're ensuring that Bryn's vision as the director is being brought to life by the professional production team that we have within RBC. And then our assistant stage managers, they will come and help do painting scenery if we need it. They might be coming and helping ironing and spraying some costumes, dirtying things down. They'll be attending rehearsals to see what's going on within them. And then when we move into theatre, those ASMs are looking after all the props. They might be flying scenery. They might be lighting operating, follow spot operating. They might be fitting microphones on actors and checking microphones aren't breaking during the show. So their roles range very differently depending on what the show is and what the show entails, what the content is.
It sounds like a very hands-on degree program. It's not the kind of thing like me where you just get to sit and read poetry and pontificate.
No, we always say to our applicants, you're not here for 12 hours a week. This is a full-time course. We match what it will be like within the industry. So our second year students, when they'll work on different seasons. So for one season, they might be the deputy stage manager on one of the productions like Esme is this season. But then for another season, they might be a lighting or a part of the technicians team. So they're looking after all the technical aspects for the shows that season. Then another season, they might be working in props. So they will be creating all the props that are appearing in every single production. Or they might be in costumes. So they're helping make alterations, make costumes. They're dirtying things down, distressing items. And if they're in the scenery department, they are there from those initial design ideas to it being built in theatre. So they're working with the carpenters, they're working with the paint teams. They're in charge of, when we move to theatre, ensuring it's constructed as per the designer as vision, really. So they're working very closely as part of a big team.
And from the sounds of Stephen's description, it sounds like there's going to be quite a lot of distressed items in the Edgar Allan Poe work this time round.
There normally is.
Bryn, a similar question for you. You've been in directing in multiple different venues, multiple different shows, and now you're a course director. So, what's a day in your life like?
Yeah, it's busy. It's always busy in terms of, I'm in rehearsal at the moment working with our BA3 acting students, but I'm still got an eye on our BA2 acting students who are currently in their workshop rehearsals, and they're going into their performances sort of from this week for the next 3 weeks over at our Digbeth studios. And then I'm fielding things for our first years as well. So kind of having an oversight over the big picture, but also I'm enjoying being in the room with a small company of 10. That's where I am probably at my happiest, and trying to create, I suppose, as realistic a professional experience for them as possible. And I think as you move through the 3 years at RBC, you move from working with more of our full-time lecturing team through to some guest directors, and then through to this is their final performance. So it's a real privilege to be here. And I've just come off, if I wasn't busy enough, I've just come off a professional gig at the Watermill Theatre down in Newbury, which has just won Stage's Theatre of the Year 2025 or 6, I'm not sure which one. So it was on Tuesday I had press night for that, and on Wednesday I arrived in rehearsal for Little Women as the Guardian and Daily Mail reviews came in. It's a busy time, but it's a wonderful place to be, and great to find that alignment between sort of industry experience and expectation and the training environment within the rehearsal room. So yeah, we're in our second week of a 5-week process. As I think I'm sure Neve and Nathan will say soon, every day there's a bit more singing, every day there's a bit more choreography, every day there's a bit more specificity, but we're working our way through this beautiful, epic, tear-jerking novel.
And do you come in with a vision of, I'm going to do things slightly differently? I've always thought this about Little Women or Little Women, the Broadway musical, and nobody's ever done that before, so I've really got to convey that? Or is it very much a what kind of creativity do you as a director bring to the process?
Yeah, I think first and foremost I need to listen to the music and I need to listen to the text. I think my role really is to listen and then sculpt. So in the weeks and months prior, I'm listening to the soundtrack in the car, whenever I'm driving anywhere, so I can start to visualize things as I listen to it. When I did when I did The Clockmaker's Daughter, I was in a period of my life where I went jogging. I'm not in that period at the moment, but then I was, and so I used to wear my headphones and listen to that all the time. And you sort of listen to the music and capture a kind of visual image. And I always think that when I'm directing, part of my job is to create production images, so photographs. All our shows are professionally photographed. But if I can create those kind of negative snapshots through the process, it ensures that visually we're kind of telling that story. And on a daily basis, we're listening to the detail of the musical score. The musical score is suggesting something for the thought of the character or the emotional landscape of the scene, or we're listening to the text and what's the text suggesting. And it might be we get to a scene a couple of pages along and it answers a question that we've previously investigated. So yeah, I feel like my job is to listen and to receive offers from our company and then sculpt and then just detail. I try to get a shape on the show as quickly as possible so that we can go back and then do the detail work on top.
Was there a particular reason why Little Women spoke to you to be your it's not your maiden production with RBC, but your first one being in charge? Was there a reason why this one?
There was a number of musicals kicking around, if I'm honest, Terry. One of which we couldn't get the rights for, so there was a few elements to that. But Little Women has been there, sort of nagging away at me for some time. I saw a production of it during my training as an actor, and it stands out to me as something I'd always wanted to have a go at. And I suppose I have a history of working on adaptations. So I'm co-artistic director of a company called Hammer Puzzle, with whom this production at the Watermill has just taken place. And that's an adaptation of Lark Rise to Candleford. And so over my career, I've often worked on literary classics, literary adaptations, and there's something about that work, I think, that really speaks to me, and also is about imagination and storytelling, which is at the heart of what acting is. And this year is I don't know, I think it's the National Year of Reading or something that the government has announced, and so it felt important to kind of look at reading and literary stories.
Stephen has just posted in the chat that you're far too modest to mention that your Watermill production got 4 stars in The Guardian, and congratulations.
Thank you, Stephen. It also got 4 stars in the Daily Mail, which, you know, no snub to Daily Mail readers, but I really wasn't expecting it. So some very nice things have been said.
I'm at a loss to know whether that's congratulations or commiserations, but well done.
No, thank you. Press reviews of the work is, it's wonderful to see those things, but to be able to bring that same practice with, again, same collaboration with the same choreographer into the room at RBC feels really important.
Thank you, Bryn. And Helen, if I can come back to you, from a stage management perspective, you must see these productions from a very unique angle. Is there something about this Little Women production that's coming up that we as an audience should be particularly looking out for? Is there something that's caught your eye?
Spoilers away. There is one moment in Act 2 where something happens, and I want the audience to go, "Woo!" And how that's done. And how do we do that? But I'm not going to give a spoiler away because I want them to experience that moment. For all shows bring their challenges, but one of the best things for me about stage management is how, as a team, we resolve that. We'll all come with different ideas to the table, and I've been working in this industry for a long time now, and sometimes it's one of our first year students and they go, "You thought of this?" And then we go, "No, nobody's thought of that, actually. Why aren't we doing that?" So it's brilliant to work collaboratively, sorry, can't get the words out, and our stage management students work across all RBC acting productions. So they're not only working with the BA actors, they're working with the MAs and the MFAs, and they're also working across years. So the first year's, second year and third year stage management will work on productions together, but then they're also working with third year actors, second year actors. So they get to work with a wide variety of different students, different personalities, because you will when you come into the industry. So it's a great time to learn how to work with different actors, I might say, because they're different to stage management.
And is Bryn a particularly demanding character to work for? Is he cracking the whip?
No. When he goes, "Helen, can I have a chat?" Then you're like, okay, he's got something. There's something there.
I'll just jump on that. I always feel like I'm sort of ambitious, or I'm pushing the envelope, and we always have to be realistic about what a vision is and what's possible. And there was a phrase that was used during my own training, which was about where I went to do my training, said that we train performers and those who make performance possible. And it's absolutely about that collaborative relationship where you go, what is possible? One might have X vision, but how do we make that vision a reality? And that's the joy of working alongside the stage management team.
Well, thank you very much, both. I've really appreciated your insights into this piece. I'm excited to come and see it now, but I'd really quite like to get some of our students who have waited incredibly patiently for almost 40 minutes for me to come to them. So I'm very pleased to welcome to our conversation two of whom are conveniently on the same screen, which is really going to make life a lot easier for these tiny little boxes we're all in. So I've got with me, I've got Esme McIntyre from Stage Management, and I've got Noah. Is that a Thelen or Telen, or sorry, forgive me, Noah, but you'll correct me, I'm sure. Pontefract. And then I've got Nathan Horrocks and Neve Curran. Neve taking on the role of Joe and Nathan taking on the role of Laurie. So we've got 2 students from stage management side of things, 2 from the acting side of things. I'm going to kind of throw some questions out there. They're all going to be kind of similar, because one of the things I'd like to get into is, how's your RBC experience been so far? So I'll throw to Nathan and Neve to start with. You've been, as you said earlier, doing some hot work in the studio today with lots of choreography and things. So is this what you thought an acting course at RBC was going to be about?
I mean, when you what's great about RBC is, and we had a little chat about this before the call started, that the material for your 3rd year, well, for all of your training really, gets selected on the cohort of actors that are in your particular year group. And then the 1st and 2nd year is about kind of identifying what you're good at and what you could potentially work on, what you need to be pushed with. So 1st and 2nd year, you might get roles that don't necessarily align with what you thought your casting might be, but it's just a way to challenge yourself. And then when it gets to 3rd year, the roles are more aligned to your casting, but again with that kind of, well, we still want to challenge you. And when it came to our 3rd year production and we found out that we had a musical, some people were really excited, some people I'm sure were shaking in the boots. But it's a really exciting opportunity to kind of hone the skills that we've been working on for the past 2 years in terms of creating, embodying characters. And then we've got this extra level that we're being pushed towards, which is the musical element and then the choreography. And there is that, those are part of our training over the whole 3 years. And it's really exciting to be able to have that opportunity in 3rd year to kind of put them all together and see what happens.
And were you shaking your boots at the idea of a musical, or were you up for it?
Well, a bit of both. It's nerve-wracking, but it's exciting.
And how about you, Neve? Are you can't wait to get out there and belt out the opening number?
Well, for me, I've loved musicals. Growing up, musicals were my favorite. So when we found out that we were doing a musical, I was really hoping to be in it. So, and to be in it was like the greatest achievement. So it's quite the privilege to be able to do it.
And can you talk us through your journey to get to RBC? What got you invested in wanting to be on the stage in the first place?
Yeah, I'll go. So, I mean, I'm probably not completely original in my journey, but it was one of those. I found a local youth theatre group growing up that I joined when I was about 8 years old, and it just kind of opened my eyes to this whole world. And then I found out you could get paid for it, and I was like, whoa. So I tried my hand at it through doing that alongside school and college. Was able to get an agent. So when I turned 18, I was picking up some professional bits of work here and there. And then I thought, right, it's time to kind of hone in on my craft now and get trained. And that's been my journey. And I auditioned and was fortunate enough to get accepted.
Yeah, it's quite similar for me. When I was about 17, I went to see Les Mis, and I found it like the most amazing thing that I've ever seen. And so then I just joined a theatre company and started auditioning for drama schools, and then eventually found myself at RBC.
My sister-in-law is obsessed with Les Mis. I haven't seen it yet, and every time I see her, she brings it up that I've not watched Les Mis yet. And maybe now, if more people are obsessed with it, there we go.
Terry, some of us are old enough to have seen the original production with the original actors in 1980. I want to say 85. But it might have been 1986. I think it was the day I finished my A levels in 1986. So there you go. That will age me almost precisely. It's high time you went.
I'll give it a go then. 5/6 year old me would have been very excited to see the original cast, I'm sure. Sorry, Nathan, before I move on to talk to Esme and Noah, I just have to ask, on your bio, you're in a short film, Love, Death and Lime Dresses. What is that title about? What's going on there?
It was a wacky one. It was a group of students at a university, University of Salford. They kind of managed to get some money together to hire some professional actors to star in their short film. And the whole creative team was working on that. So we worked with the writer, and they had the director, DOP, a whole team of screen professionals. And yeah, it was a story about a grandma and a grandson trying to figure out the kind of past of their deceased granddad, her husband, his granddad. And they found out loads of wacky things along the way. It was a bonkers little short film, but it was brilliant.
It's a great title.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Noah and Esme, if I can come over to you now and just find out a little bit about what brought you into the stage management side of things. Is it a very similar process to the acting, the bug that gets under your skin of I just want to be in the theatre, but I don't want to be on the stage. I want to be behind it and doing the fun, cool stuff of hiding in the wings?
Yeah, I think I actually did drama GCSE first and was performing. I went to do monologues and stuff for that. And I just realized that was not where I did not belong on the stage. But I've always loved musicals and plays and going to see anything live. I just love it. And then it came time to apply for uni, and I didn't really have anything in mind that I wanted to do. And I found this course, and yeah, absolutely love it. Yeah, I couldn't do anything else. It was just amazing.
Fantastic.
I'm very similar to Esme. I also did acting and was on stage, then realized it wasn't really for me, but absolutely loved the theatre environment. But I didn't actually know what stage management was. I came across this course and realized it might be exactly what I've seen from the stage, looking into the wings, and really admired. And I found it really last minute, but thought, yeah, this is exactly what I want to explore, and applied, and yeah, here we are.
And Noah, as a third year student, you've done pretty much every role now, I imagine, in the stage management of you and your stage manager for this particular production as well. So is there one thing that's more fun than another thing for you, or is it all just this is brilliant, I just love being in this environment?
I love all of it. There is something about that, creating something together and standing in the wings, just watching it happen. There's a great atmosphere. I really enjoyed DSMing, which is what Esme's doing now. And she's going to have so much fun queuing to music. I absolutely love calling shows, and queuing to music is going to be so much fun. I thought DSMing would have been my favorite role, but having started as stage manager now, I'm finding I really like this. There's more, as DSM, you're in the rehearsal room a lot of the time, which is something I'm comfortable and familiar with. But now I'm liaising between all the departments, and I'm going between the rehearsal room and 3B, which is, I guess, what you could call our stage management headquarters, where the workshop is, and our props and costume stores. And I'm really enjoying that aspect too.
And do you get to be creative in what's being by transmitting the message from one person to another? Do you get to have some sway in what happens, or are you much more that go between that's the glue that's keeping everything together, but putting Bryn's vision forward?
It's very much a bit of both. It's what Helen was saying earlier, that process of trying to figure out the challenges that are sometimes come up in shows, or the weird and wonderful ideas that come up in scripts sometimes, and seeing how they could actually be made to life.
Yeah, I remember from my English lit degree reading a lot of Ibsen, especially late Ibsen, where he's like, oh, and we're going to have a zoo on the stage. And like, oh, great. So we've got to have live giraffes running around. Have you got an exciting, wacky thing that you've had to fulfill in the last minute, or has it all been fairly realistic to this point?
We haven't had anything too crazy, to be fair. Yeah, there's a few things like which come up quite often. Like, for example, just passing urine on stage is a challenge that we come across quite often. There's lots of things like, I mean, it's not wacky, I guess, because we're so used to it in stage management, but we've got to come up with unusual concoctions for drinks and things, because of course you can't actually be drinking some of the things that are in the script. So that's pretty fun.
So, I presume we're talking about not being able to neck vodka on stage in the middle of a show. Yeah, I can't imagine it's conducive to good performances.
No, one of the lectures, sorry to jump in, I actually teach
okay.
is how to do fake drugs and alcohol on stage. And I have to teach the students how to do these things because it comes up in productions. So when they go home and say, "What did you learn today?" Well, I learned how to roll a joint. And it's because they come up in productions. There's one this season, so I've had to teach them how to do that.
One of my favorite experiences on stage was in an Alan Ayckbourn play when I was probably just a little bit younger than you guys, where I had to play half of a tennis match. So I was on one side of the stage and I was playing against my opponent who couldn't be seen, which meant I had to be hitting the balls into the wings, and the poor old stage manager had to catch them, which because there was a hard wall behind them, and if they didn't catch them, the ball would come back too soon on stage and it wouldn't look realistic. So we had a lot of fun just trying to kind of find an easy rhythm where it would still look like I was playing an energetic game of tennis, but the balls were actually catchable in the wings. So that's another new one for you someday.
That sounds like an energetic production to be part of. No, just one more question for you before I ask a couple of things of Esme, and then we'll circle around again. But you've done a placement with Birmingham Royal Ballet, where I used to work. So you'd have been with in the bio you sent me, been on the Nutcracker, which is a really quite polished production at this point. It's had a few tweaks and changes since I was there, but how was it? Working in that ballet environment as opposed to a theatre, or was it exactly the same as working in a theatre environment?
It was incredible because I felt like I fit in so well. I knew everything, I understood everything that was happening, was able to work on such a large scale production, which was really, really cool. I did have some moments where I was sit on stage waiting for the show to start and thinking, wow, why am I here? How have I made it here? It's so big, such a big show. Absolutely beautiful as well. The set is gorgeous. The costumes are incredible. But it was really cool how I was able to just fit in and understand everything. There was a couple of things that were a bit more challenging, as in keeping sane while sweeping up tons of snow after yeah, after it all falls down.
Snow Fairy at the end of Act 1. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was, absolutely loved it. Really cool.
I've got a handful of that snow as a memento from my time working there. So I know it's very, very small bits of flame retardant fabric. And it flutters down very gently. It's lovely.
It's really expensive, so you've got to sieve it out and clean it out because it's got to be reused for every show.
Absolutely. And I know we've got a few ballet fans in our audience tonight as well. So tell me, did you get to have a sit in the goose?
Sorry? Oh, in the goose.
Did you get to sit in the goose?
I wish. No, I got to stand in the wings, watching it come down though, which was really cool. And it comes down so fast, and then she immediately has to appear upstage again. And the process backstage, she's coming down so calmly, and then suddenly she gets the wings, and it's super fast. Get her moving quickly. That was really cool. We actually had a show stop during the goose on my first or second week there, which was interesting. We had to get her down and close the tabs, and then get her back up there. It was good fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a fairly daunting experience, but well done for getting through it all. And Esme, if I can come to you now, and as a second year, you've been involved in the lighting side of things, and now you're DSM. How's that DSM experience going of being in the room through the rehearsal process?
I'm loving it so far. I think when you're ASMing or doing lighting or sound, you don't get to experience fully how the show you're watching and the working on has come to be what it is. So just watching everything happen and watching them make up the choreography as they go and do all the blocking as they go is so much fun, and just seeing it all come together it's great. I love it.
And are you excited to move forward into the full SM role, or are you happy staying at a DSM for now and enjoy it while it's here?
I think there's some comfort because you know the rehearsal room and you get used to being in there. So I think I'll find it a bit of a challenge to stay out of the room and liaise with everyone else. But I'm excited to see which one see which role I prefer to do and how I want to move forward with.
And is there anything that you'd like to share with our audience that's happened in the rehearsal studio now that they should look out for in the performance?
Oh, I don't want to give spoilers like Helen. I can't tell you anything. You have to come see it to experience it.
You stage managers, you're teasing all of us. Just buy tickets.
There's some exciting things that will happen, yes.
That's fab. Nathan and Neve, if I can return to you for a minute. So you're doing portraying Joe and Laurie respectively. Probably one of the most famous almost couples in all of literature that don't actually end up together. So how was that process for you guys? Had you worked together previously, so you knew each other's style and temperament and that kind of thing, or was it, hey, you guys have been cast, now get to know each other and have an almost near miss kind of thing?
Do you want to
go? Well, we have worked together like quite a few times, and we live together, so we know each other quite well. So it was nice to be able to work so closely together, though, because I don't think we've had the opportunity to do that yet.
No, we've been in the same cast, but this is the first time where our characters are really aligned. And it's nice to kind of play off each other. And it's the case with most of the actors on the course, because you get to know everybody so well. You can kind of bounce off each other. But when you're kind of as close as we are, there's an extra kind of level of safety there where you can have real fun with each other. And we're very comfortable in each other's presence, and it's going to be a lovely experience.
I've got another question for you guys, but just to throw out, we've got sort of 5-ish minutes left on our call. Nobody has asked any questions for us to pass on through the chat, so if anybody does have questions for any of our students or for Bryn and Helen, do please pop something in the chat and we'll have some questions in the last couple of minutes. But Nathan and Neve, since you live together as well, do you get home from rehearsal and it's been a long, because it is a long day in the rehearsal studio, you're there like 9 till 5 pretty much, 5 maybe 6 days a week depending on how hard they're working you, do you get home and you're like, I want to work that scene again, or you're like, no, I'm done, I don't want to look at you again for the rest of the night?
A little bit of both, I'd say. It's nice to switch off, but especially in this first part, there's a lot of coming home and we're kind of going off to our respective rooms with our phones to our ears, trying to embed our harmonies and learn lines, so that when we do get in the room, then we can bring it to life.
Fantastic. So not one of you singing in the shower and the other one harmonizing through the door.
We did have that.
Yeah, we do have that. We sometimes get messages, or I got a message last night, in fact, saying, Nathan, please can you shut up, because I'm trying to do my own harmonies in my room.
Yeah, I imagine that could make it a little bit trickier as well.
Yeah, it does.
Thanks, guys. Noah, so this is your third year as well. Have you got something lined up to go on to? Have you got plans for career-wise? Have you already got shows lined up, or are you just enjoying this final year and seeing where you end up?
I've been offered a DSM position for Christmas, which I'm kind of excited to do, because as I said, I really enjoy the DSM role, and taking that into a professional environment will be really exciting. But I'm also really interested in the producing side of things. So I'm kind of hoping to kind of make my way in there.
Okay. Like all stage managers, you're just sort of dropping tidbits of things that might go on, but not coming right out and saying where you're going on to. So fair play. I won't push you any further on that. Esme is the only second year in our student group this evening. What's your thoughts on, during the summer period, for example, do you get to go off and do placements like Noah did with the Nutcracker and BRB? Do you actively pursue that, or do you just want some downtime to get away from it all?
So we work on all seasons of shows in our second year, and the next season is MFAs and MAs. So I'm going to be doing top costume allocation and like finding all the costumes, sourcing costumes, making costumes for that one. And then when we move into our third year is when we start going out on placements and finding placements.
So you do get a rest over the summer months.
Yeah, a little bit.
Some space to. Well, I mean, I don't know, guys. Do you have like essays and stuff like because when I was doing my undergrad English, like there were like 5,000-10,000 word dissertations. Do you still have to do the written work as well, or is it very focused on the performance aspect?
It's we do a sort of reflective journal about our time as a DSM, but it's nothing like 10,000 word essays or anything like that. It's very focused on the practical side.
Jackpot. Well, that's really fabulous, guys. Is there anything that you want to share with us as the sort of last couple of minutes about the production? Any last minute sales pitches for why our audience, if they haven't already got tickets, should get tickets to come and see Nathan and Neve giving it everything?
I mean, I will say, if you've seen the film or read the book, I think the musical is a beautiful portrayal of these four sisters and the characters that they meet along the way. And with the score, with the live orchestra, and hopefully our performances, I think it's going to be a really special thing that we create towards the end of March. So I would recommend it to anybody who likes theatre or Little Women or both. I think it'll be pretty special.
Amazing. Any final thoughts from yourselves, Noah and Esme? Anything to sell us on it?
No, just to second Nathan, it's going to be really incredible. I've already been getting goosebumps in the rehearsal room. So live on stage with the orchestra and lighting, it's just going to be, yeah, I'm really excited myself, and I'm not even watching it. I'm going to be in the wings.
So in our dying moments, I'm going to let my wife down again, who made me promise again not to mention Friends. But my final question for you all is Joey's question from Friends. Just how little are these women? No.
I think the answer to that, Terry, is just how far back you sit potentially, but in the auditorium. So yeah, get your seats and get a decent middle of the row, middle of the stalls, and they'll be perfectly sized and perfectly formed, I'm sure.
That is the best answer I could have hoped for. Thank you. Excellent thoughts. Thank you very much for everybody giving their time this evening to come and share with us some insight into the production process, but insights into your own journeys as well. I think this is one of the exciting things about being part of RBC and being part of the RBCA and being a supporter of ours. But for all of those that have joined this call, just to find out a bit more about the students and the production, really grateful to have you here. Thank you so much for being part of this experience for this evening. If you want to relive this, I will be circulating the recording to all of our attendees, but also to those that couldn't be with us tonight. There is I've not put a link in the chat about how to book tickets if you've not already done so, but I'll circulate a link to everybody if you've not already had a chance to book tickets to come and see Little Women. And I sincerely hope that you do after this really excellent conversation this evening. I'm energized to want to see it all. So I hope we will see you there across those 4 performances in March. So thank you very much for joining us. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you'll be back with us to see another one of these Zoom calls in the near future. Thanks very much, everybody, and safe travels back to your sofas.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks to wonderful students. Thanks, Bryn, Helen, and thanks, Terry, for chairing so ably. I hope to see many of you at the performances.
Thank you, Stephen. Thank you very much, everybody.